Hi everyone, so I'm Natalia from Au Pair in America London office. I am the marketing assistant for Au Pair in America, and we have Kendall here, who is a Canadian au pair, who is available to talk to us about her Au Pair in America experience. So hello Kendall.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's get on with the questions.
I'm Kendall. I'm 23 years old. I'm from a small town in Saskatchewan, Canada called Rollo. 500 people. I moved to New York to be an au pair at the start of January, so it's about 6 months, not quite yet 6 months. So I decided to become an au pair because I just finished my degree. I graduated in June, and then I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. It was like, I didn't get a degree that was like, you do this, you do this, you do this. It was more of a, okay, now what do I do? And I wasn't really ready to like jump into a career. And I knew I would always wanted to live abroad. And I loved kids. I've always really, really loved kids. So it was like this just sort of fell into my lap, this au pair thing. I kind of looked it up on a whim. And then I came across the Au Pair in America site. It was actually, I think, the Au Pair in UK site that I came across first. And I was looking sort of into that. I knew my mom wouldn't want me that far away. So then I started looking at the Au Pair in America. And it just seemed perfect. And I love New York. Such a good environment for someone like me who's a writer. And just so much history in that sense. So it was like the perfect situation.
Did you have any sort of American dream when you were in Canada?
For most of us, we've been here. Like, we've been to the States. It's not that hard for us to get here. But living in it is such a different experience. There's so many, like, there's cool cities in Canada. I love Vancouver and I love Toronto, but there's so many more cities in the States that it's like so much history and so many TV shows that happen there. And there's just so much cool stuff to see that doesn't really happen in Canada. You get to experience all those things that it's like right across the border, but you only really see a glimpse of it if you come for vacation. If you get to live here for a year and be immersed in all of it, the cultures aren't so different, but there's just so much to see. The application was, when I first saw it, it was like daunting because it seemed like there was so much to do. And then I talked to my agency, who were great. They were so helpful. And I started going through it, and most of it's just about your own personal experience. So it's really not that hard to write about yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else. So just putting out what your experience is, kids, and how you feel about things. It's not as hard as it looks when you first see it. You're like, oh my gosh, but then you get started on it and it's really not that bad. I didn't have to do a video. My agency told me that we didn't have to do them coming from Canada. There are definitely benefits, I think, from coming from Canada. It makes it a little easier to fill out the application and those kinds of things, because I think a lot of au pairs that I've talked to come here because they're hoping to improve their English and that kind of thing. So writing it as a native English speaker, I think, was a little bit easier. The application process was, once it was filled out, it really didn't take that long. And then I was on the website for, I think, 2 weeks. And as I said before, I was planning on coming in June. So most of the people that I talked to were looking for someone in January. And I would talk to them, and like, they were really nice, but I just was still like, okay, but I think I'm going to go in June. And I was on there for 2 weeks, I think, almost exactly, when I met the family that I'm with now a couple of days before that. And I was supposed to talk to another family from Boston, but I was like, okay, these people, they're the ones. Like, I'm done with the application process. I'm done with the process of finding a match. These are the people.
How did you find orientation?
I think for me, the orientation was fun because it was getting to find out about all these other people's cultures as opposed to learning about the States, because being so close in proximity, I felt more prepared. Like, I knew kind of what was going to be the norm for those kinds of things, because a lot of it was like cultural things that are different for people coming from other countries. So for me, it was like, okay, it was part of comforting and being like, okay, this isn't actually going to be that scary for me. The yellow school bus was this huge fascination at our orientation. It drove by and everyone was like, oh my God, I didn't think those were real. And I was like, I used to go on one of those. Like, what do you mean? I didn't know that it was a thing that was so different.
I mean, even for me, when I saw a yellow school bus for the first time, I freaked out too, I have to admit. No, but to you, I guess it's something so trivial. Have you made any friends along your journey, from orientation or from your cluster meetings at all?
I have made one very, very good friend. Her name is Claudia. She's from Poland. She was in my room at orientation, and we live, I think, like 10 blocks away in New York, and we spent all our time together before the lockdown happened. Her family's actually moved out to Connecticut for COVID, but she's one of my best friends. Like, I have always wanted to go to Europe. I never really thought about going to Poland, but now it's like top of my list. Like, there's no way I won't someday go there. And then there's another girl who's from Australia. She got here the day before we went into lockdown. So I've talked to her a lot through like Facebook and stuff, but we haven't even actually got to meet yet because her family went to Philadelphia to quarantine or self-isolate. So she's back July 11th. I'm very excited to actually meet her in real life.
And how about your cluster meetings? How are they going? And what about your community counsellor? Can you tell us anything about that?
Yes, I actually haven't been to a real cluster meeting yet. The couple that we had before we went into lockdown, I was working both of them, so I actually didn't get to go. But Jan is great. She's our LCC. I love Jan. She's this Scottish lady, and she's so funny, and she has our backs on everything. Like, she's just the best. Not that I've really ever needed her to like stand up for me for anything. I've never really had any huge issues, but she's just the best. She's so funny. I have her on Facebook and she likes all my stuff, and she's just so cute. I love her. My daily au pair schedule in a regular time. The little girl that I take care of, she's in preschool. So the preschool is like 2 blocks from our house. And the mom would take her in the morning. Usually, sometimes if she was rushed for work, I would take her, but usually the mom would. So then I wouldn't usually start until, I think her school got out at 1 o'clock, so I'd have to pick her up for 1 o'clock. And then usually we do play dates in the afternoon. She has lots of friends at her school, and they're all in this neighborhood, so it was really easy. They'd either come to our apartment or we go to theirs. When the weather was starting to get nice, we were going to the playground before we got shut out of them. Then usually we would come home, have some dinner, have a bath, and then depending on when her parents were done work, they would put her to bed or I would put her to bed. So my schedule since COVID has started has been, I work more hours, but it's not awful or anything. Like, I get up, usually I start work around between 9 and 10. For today I'm off till 2, which is nice. I get up, we play in the morning. We usually either try to go to the park and have a picnic, or lately there's a roof on their apartment building that we can sort of go run around, have a snack, sort of be in the sun. So that's really, really nice and great, because sometimes the park's not far, but she doesn't necessarily always want to go that far. So it's nice to be able to still get outside and go to the roof. Then we come, we have some lunch. Usually the dad eats lunch with us because he's a lawyer, so he has more of a set schedule. The mom's a therapist, so she's seeing patients sometimes over lunch. So he'll come and eat lunch with us, and then we play in the afternoon. We'll do crafts. Sometimes we'll watch a movie. And she always is obsessed with Frozen, so we're always playing Frozen. No matter what we're doing, Frozen is a layer of it. So we might be playing on the roof, playing hide and seek, but it'll be, I'm Olaf hiding, and she's Elsa looking for me. It's always that. And then we eat dinner, have a bath. Same sort of routine, just sort of mixed up, and more time to play just the 2 of us, which has been great because I love her and I get to spend so much time with her now.
Do you have any plans to travel in the future?
I do have plans to travel in the future. We both really, really want to go to Hawaii. It's somewhere that a lot of my friends actually in Canada have been to Hawaii, but I've just never been able to get there. It's a lot cheaper to go from here to Hawaii than it is to fly internationally from Canada. I want to go to Indiana. I have a friend from high school actually that lives in Indiana, so I really am hoping to get there. It's kind of an obscure state, I think, for people to be like, I really want to go to Indiana, but I'm hoping to get there. My aunt lives on the West Coast in Canada, so I kind of would like to get to some of those West Coast states because she's been to lots of them, and she's like, oh, you have to go to the best. She lived in California when she was younger, and she's like, oh, you'll love it. You have to go to California. So hoping I'll be able to do some of those. I am staying an extra 6 months. I'm extending, so I'll be able to do that hopefully in that time.
Oh, I hope so as well. I mean, yeah, I'd say the West Coast is probably a lot more different to the East Coast as well. So it'd be great if you could experience both. 100%.
I think that the biggest thing I've achieved on my Au Pair in America journey so far is I'm a lot more independent and confident than I thought that I was. Like when I lived at home, I lived with all the same people I've always known. Even when I moved to the big city, which was nothing compared to New York, I still knew everybody. Everything was a comfort zone. So to come here was so out of my comfort zone, and I thought that it was going to be just this horrible, scary experience right before I left. I was really excited like 5 months before, but then right before I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I can't do this. And then I got here and I surprised myself at how much I've been able to go out on my own in New York, especially since COVID's happened, and most of my going out is on my own now. And I'm a lot more independent and confident in those things than I ever imagined that I would be. And I think that the program really sets you up for that. It helps you to be like, okay, you can do this. Like there's all these other girls that are here for you as a support system, and you're all going through this, and you guys can do it.
What do you think your proudest moment has been on this experience?
My proudest moment in this experience, I had a lot of experience with kids before this, but I had never spent so much one-on-one time with a kid as I have, especially since lockdowns happened and lived together basically like the full day every day. And she's 4 and she's so sweet and I love her, but sometimes 4-year-olds they have tantrums and they get upset, and it's like you feel like you're doing something wrong. And I think the proudest moment for me was when it's like I can just help her like calm down and work through these things, and then she's such a sweet kid that it's not like she's throwing tantrums because she's bad. She's just upset, and it's like seeing how you approach those things as the adult, how it reflects into the kid, and seeing that like progress. I'm just like, wow, I really am making a difference.
If you could say something to your past self who was about to step on that plane and depart to the USA and about to do your US adventure, what would you pass on? What information would you pass on? What advice would you pass on to that past Kendall?
The first thing that I would say is calm down. Your papers are right. You'll be fine. You can get into your country. The second thing that I would say is don't worry so much. You'll be fine. The family's there to support you, and they will support you. And it's going to be such a great experience. There's going to be so many things that come up that you aren't going to expect. Nobody would have seen COVID coming in January. But it doesn't make your experience bad. There's so many good things that have come out of this really, really awful thing. Like you said, all these silver linings. And it's going to be worth every sort of struggle that you had to get yourself to the plane. I haven't taken any of my credits yet. Me and my friend were planning to do all those travel courses, and obviously they're not running now. So I have signed up for a mass journalism course that's online. That's in July, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm really excited about it because I'm hot about doing a journalism course at home after I finish my degree, because it kind of lines up with my English degree. But they don't really offer a lot of just like individual courses. Like it would have to be another degree on top of it. So it'll be nice to kind of take that course and see if I'll be able to, if it's something I'm interested in, to go further once I go home.
That's great. So you're going to be doing something hopefully online that is really going to help you out with your future career then.
Yeah, the course that I'm taking will hopefully kind of give me an idea. Even if I end up not liking it, it'll give me the idea that I don't want to do it. So it'll tell me at least a little bit of what I could be getting myself into. Necessarily signed up for, or what I thought I was signing up for, but it turned into a very different but great experience. I didn't expect to spend so much time at home with the family. I thought I'd be out doing things, but it's also created this very, very strong bond where I feel like I'm always going to have family in the States. like they'll always be there. And for just Canadian applicants, my advice would be, I know that the States seems like it's not that alluring. I know it's like, oh, let's go to Europe. Lots of my friends say, oh, let's go to Australia. But there is huge differences in living in Canada and living in the States that I think people don't realize. There's all these like very minute cultural differences that it's very interesting to see from a person actually living here than it is when you come on vacation and you get to spend 3 days in New York City. If you go to, say, Seattle for 2 days, you're not experiencing the same thing as if you live in Seattle. If you go to Los Angeles, you're not even experiencing the same thing as you are in New York. The states are so huge and so different that it's very, very interesting to see it from the perspective of living here. Canada might seem like it's the same, but it's totally not. And not that one is better than the other, but it's just very interesting to see it and how different they really are. Good agency that I could find in Canada. When I first was looking into being an au pair, I put like my email into and my phone number into a website that was like, please send me more information about being an au pair. And someone from their office called me and was like, oh, we have one of our agents here to talk to you and we can like give you some more information. And there, how I got onto Au Pair in America and Au Pair in the UK or whatever it's called. I can't remember exactly. But that's how I started looking at it. The woman who I talked to, she had done it and both of her sisters had done it. And they had just all this knowledge on how the process works and what it's like once you're actually an au pair, and like assured me of so many stresses that I had about it that were, looking back, just totally unnecessary stresses. But when you don't really know what you're getting into, it was like, oh my God, what if this happened? What if this happened? And they were great at like calming me down and be like, okay, this is the process. It's actually very simple and this is what you do. And they were so helpful.
Thank you, Kendall, for your answers. You've been absolutely amazing. And I've really enjoyed hearing all about your Au Pair in America experience. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was really, really nice to talk about my experiences.
Okay, hopefully we'll speak soon, and goodbye from us.
Bye.